There is something peaceful about being in the middle of nowhere. No noise, no distractions, just endless space. Which is probably why I agreed to take a job out here. They specifically asked for an experienced deity to build them a star factory. I am just a guy looking for some quiet work. But I figured, how hard could it be? Welcome to 100% of Star Factory. Let's begin. It's just me and the starlit crystal. No zombies knocking at the door, no neighbours to bother. Just the cold marble and the silence. It's exactly what I needed. I'm about to embark upon a journey where I'm travelling back in time to use some mods that have been lost to the history books. Primarily Astral Sorcery, but some others too. There is quite a lot of quests to get through, but 90% of what I need to do is not even listed here. I start in this world with infinite ice, marble, gold and dark oak. And with these basic materials, I'm gonna set up a factory so impressive, the gods who hired me will be proud of what I have done. But that's gonna come later. For now, I just need something functional. The night sky really is something special, with all of the constellations displayed. It's just so peaceful. My welcome message explains everything about why I was chosen for this job. I apparently look like a god, and I will take that confidence boost for today. Also that since I'm actually not a god, I'm probably not going to succeed at this. My first very important mission is to hold one of each infinite resource, something I'm sure I can handle. And I think I'll start with a crafting table, and of course some storage. Taking a look at the Astral Tome, this is what I'll need to read in order to teach myself all about Astral Sorcery. And while it is quite difficult to navigate the book, I'm sure it will be an invaluable tool in my toolkit. The first few quests are going to see me jumping around tasks quite a bit, so apologies for that. I'll start by crafting some ice and gold into ender pearls, and with some marble and ice I can make aquamarine. Crafting marble, aquamarine and pearls together gets me a resonating wand. 8 marble nets me a furnace, and I can smelt some logs with logs to make charcoal. Combining some charcoal with marble creates sooty marble, and finally for now, marble, sooty marble and a crafting table combined into a luminous crafting table. Now the astral fun can begin. This table uses starlight to perform crafts, the first of which will be for a grindstone. I give it a tap with my wand, and even though it's daytime, this is considered an easy craft and I have got plenty of star power to succeed. Walking out into the nothingness is a strange feeling. There's technically no floor, yet I'm not falling. It makes the world feel massive and tiny all at once. Using this grindstone, I can manually grind some marble into sand. There's something hypnotic about watching the grindstone spin. It's manual labor, sure, but in a place like this, it gives you time to think. One block at a time, no need to rush. That sand can get smelted into glass of course, and I'll surround one with some ice to make my very first rock crystal. Now I'm gonna need a couple of variations of marble designs, chiseled and runed for now. I can then throw everything into the crafting table and use the starlight to craft up my first of many light wells. Inside I will pop an aquamarine, and it'll harvest some starlight and deposit it into the well in a liquid form. It's a slow process. You can't force it, you just have to let the stars do their work while you go about your business. While I wait, I'm going to craft up a couple more light wells. More is always better. Unexpectedly, using 3 pieces of marble I can craft up a bucket. I can use that to withdraw my first ever liquid starlight. For now, I'm going to build a hole over here to place it into. Wait, can you build a hole? That's a real question right there. Now using the magic of starlight, I can throw in some gold ingots and they'll transmute into iron ingots. That unlocks some basic tools, but I'm pretty sure I can skip the shovel this time around. Gold can also be ground down on the grindstone, this time netting me some gold dust. Oh, and iron ingots turn into iron dust. Who'd have thought it? Now, since I don't think it's gonna rain anytime soon, I'll smash open a block of ice to get myself a little bit of water. And much like in the real world, if you have 2 buckets of water, you can make infinite water. Using some wood, gold, iron bars and that water, I can craft up my first of very many radiant resonators. It makes a pretty loud noise, ruining the peace and quiet that I worked so hard to find. I'll tuck it out of earshot where it can shout into the void in private. Every 60 seconds this will grow a crystal on top that I'm able to mine. 1 crystal a minute is kinda bad though, so more of these is definitely better. Raw quartz clusters, you love to see it. I can send one through the grindstone to make a radiant dust, and even though I'm still all over the place, I think this is the way the quests are teaching me how to make the cool items I'm gonna need later on. Like this chisel, it is a more efficient way to convert my marble into different variants, like these pillars. I can then use those blocks to start upgrading to the next tier of Astral Altar. Success! However, just upgrading the altar will kind of break everything. This system seems to require a multi-block. It looks like I have got a little bit of reading to do, and I need to move some things around. And that, my friends, is the Starlight Crafting Altar, looking glorious. Using this lovely thing, I can activate the craft and create myself a linking tool. This will allow me to connect additional blocks and things to the collector crystal. Like, if I craft some iron dust and sand together, I can make an iron ore. Nice. Placing it down, I can select the crystal and the iron ore, and very slowly, using the power of the stars, it'll convert into a star metal ore. However, mining this with my normal pickaxe destroys my hopes and dreams. I need to use this crystal pickaxe. Not only does it allow me to harvest a star metal, it also has infinite durability. Well, I've been pushing progression pretty hard so far, but I need to take a small step back for a moment and work out how to make some new resources. If I throw gold dust into starlight, I'll get glowstone. Iron dust converts into stardust, and if I throw in some radiant dust, which I got from grinding down the radiant crystals, it gives me redstone. And now an expensive one. Using 9 raw radiant crystals, I can grind the block down into a shaped radiant quartz. Oh dear, that is a 9-minute item right there. I can pop the star metal ore into the furnace to make an ingot. That should now be everything to enable the next big craft. Except I missed the nighttime. But thankfully, there's an item that's going to help me with that. It starts with a clock, which we bath in some starlight, and that is an enchanted clock. Now every time I activate this, time skips forward just a little bit. That means whenever I need night or day, I can use the power of sorcery to achieve it. It also means that I can activate this craft, and after a spectacular dance of colourful particles, wow, this really is a pretty mod. That is the next tier of Astral Altar created. Of course, a new altar needs a fitting multi-block structure, and appears to be a little bit bigger than the last one. Let me see what I can hobble together. I have come to a pretty significant realization. The quest book is actively trying to ruin my day. Okay, so it's not that bad, but there are definitely quests missing that should have been added to explain things just a little bit better. Currently, I am 66% of the way through the story and I have only been playing for a few hours. Since I'm going for 100%, I of course need to complete all 9 challenges. So I'm going to need a way to automatically create Nether Stars. It needs shape radiant quartz blocks, endstone, which is just sandstone, glowstone I already have, and vibrant infused wood. The quests tell you to make the shaped quartz using the grindstone, costing the 9-minute block. Whereas using a gem cutter's table, I can turn 2 raw quartz into 1 shaped, which is what I eventually made. Basically, all I'm saying is I need to use JEI a whole lot more than I have been before making any decisions. I also took the time to make even more resonators, and I think sooner rather than later I want to somehow automate the collection of these clusters. Now that I've realized that the quest list is simplified, I should probably start to look at automating some of the resources I've made, like turning gold into iron. So that's why I've got a brand new platform right here, ready to receive a new factory. Again, I'm going to keep it basic and functional for now, and I'll rebuild it all pretty and efficient later. I think first I want to work towards making a coloured lens so I can make some mechanical miners. However, this fancy lens is going to require a diamond, of course, which I've got exactly 0 of. Not to worry though, I know exactly what to do. It starts by crafting shaped quartz and aquamarine into prismarine shards. I can drop half of them into starlight to create prismarine crystals, and when crafted together it'll give me a sea lantern. This can get converted via starlight into a block of lapis, and then finally the lapis pieces go into liquid starlight to make diamonds. I have no idea how one would automate all of that. Da-ding! 1 coloured lens. That's the mechanical miner, and it is time to start on my very first piece of automation. The resonators are my first target. 3 miners facing where the clusters are formed should literally just be all I need to do. Now I'm gonna need a dropper, and I think it makes sense to use the ones that are not vanilla Minecraft, hopefully allowing me to avoid redstone systems completely. Yes, it does. Absolutely brilliant. My thinking is I will have a dropper above some liquid starlight, and I can somehow feed in the infinite gold to be dropped, perhaps by using these item translocators. And if I surround a gold ingot with some chests, I can make a brand new infinite gold source. That's very nice. I'll need a temporary block so I can place down the gold on top, and then an item translocator between them. Lastly, I'll need a drawer to hold all of the iron ingots, and if I craft up some item collectors, they can go onto the drawer. Boop the snoot on the bottom one, and that is some really fast item translocating. Nice. Enable dropping, and my friends, that is automated and infinite iron ingots. It's not much, but it is the start of my automation journey. It'll be made even more perfect if I craft a drawer key and I lock the drawer to iron ingots. That way, nothing can go wrong. Oh, I really miss having digital storage. My inventory is constantly full of the most random things ever. Iron dust is normally made in a grindstone, but to automate it, I think I'll be using the crusher. I've just got no idea what options I have got for generating power just yet. I think I'm gonna have to look through JEI real quick. Oh my goodness, that was almost a disaster. Yes, I have got infinite iron, but no, I do not have infinite storage for that iron. The drawer filled up, but the gold kept on dropping. Silly me. Moving on, I believe this furnace generator is the best source of power that I can get right now, since logs are kind of infinite. I'm gonna need a red coal, a violet RF heating coil, and both are made in this resonator. I'll start with a glass cutter and use that to chop up ender pearls. That's a weird stacking system you've got going on there, sir. Combining those with some redstone will give me resonating redstone crystals, and that's everything for the resonator. And now I just need to work out how this thing works. I have never played with GP before, so this is kind of exciting for me. Maybe this survival generator will generate GP? I will need stone though, so I need to change tasks real quick. Surrounding redstone with ice will craft into netherrack, which I can pop into a light wheel to make a teeny tiny bit of lava. Oh dear, I may need lots of netherrack for this to work. After an uncomfortable amount of netherrack, I can grab out a bucket of lava. This of course can now be used to make a simple cobblestone generator, and I can even automate it with a mechanical miner. I should have built it further away. Those noises are gonna drive me crazy. A job for later. For now, that is the survival generator, and that is not at all what I thought it was gonna do. The windmill and the watermill need the resonator, so how on earth do I make the first bit of GP? I'm lost. There's a manual, but I'm pretty sure that I cannot yet make a book so I can make it, since there's not exactly a source of leather about. Oh, maybe this manual mill will do it? I just need a redstone gear, and let's see. Pop in some polished stone, Yeah, this absolutely works. It is so refreshing being lost with a mod. I'm having so much fun working this out. Oh, and did you subscribe yet? I am almost at 100,000 subscribers, and I would love for the YouTube play button to arrive before I move house this year. Please, help a Hobble out. Perfect, 6 burnt stone. That is enough to make my first watermill. I could have chosen a windmill, but that gives a varying power output, which isn't really what I want right now. Adding in some water and that gives me 14 GP without much fuss. What's even better is grid power is completely wireless. No wires, no range limits. I love it. So I think I'm gonna need 5 watermills before any more become redundant, as if it goes over 64, you are penalized for not diversifying your portfolio. While I wait for the burnt stone, I would love it if I could craft up a time in a bottle. Perfect. This is gonna start generating time in my inventory, which I can spend later to speed up machines, meaning less AFK. It's great. That's number 5, 68 total grid power. That's going to keep me going through early and mid game, I think. Now, the reason that I wanted this resonator was to turn my charcoal into red coal, and then the iron bars into the RF coil things. I'll also need some machine blocks, which feel expensive now, but I don't think they will be for long. And that is the furnace generator. The plan will be to feed some infinite wood into this to generate power. Now I just need a way to move this power around to machines. Combining burnt stone and the redstone crystal will net me some wireless transmitters. Crushers are actually nice and easy to make. I did try for a while and I have no idea how the RF transmitters work. That's because I needed a battery. Okay, well, this is a bit of a messy setup. There has got to be a better, more compact way to do this. But technically, that is automated iron dust. But I'm not exactly happy with how it works. Since I'm also going to need to set up something for gold dust, let me go and plan out how I want my factory to look, and I will be back with you in just a moment. Okay, this is so much better, and I really couldn't be any happier with it. To make stardust, I take from an infinite gold source and I drop them into starlight to make iron ingots. That iron is sent to a crusher where I decided that every machine is just going to have an independent power source, since it is all free anyway. The ingots are then crushed into iron dust, which again gets dunked in some starlight to make some stardust. Glowstone is a little bit different. Gold ingots are crushed to dust, and that is what I then drop in the puddle. Redstone has a glaringly obvious bottleneck, and that's because it is made from raw radiant quartz. I do have a plan to fix that soon though, so stick around to see my solution for infinite radiant quartz. But the quartz is crushed and dropped into a puddle. Easy, but kind of slow for now. Next on my list to automate is the ender pearls and aquamarine. Since they are a crafting recipe, I am going to need a crafter. The easiest one to make is the analog crafter, so I'm going to start with that. In order to make one though, I have to throw logs into the starlight to make infused wood. Crafted a few times into engraved infused wood, and that is some fairly easy crafters. Now I just need to work out how they work. I teach you the recipe for aquamarine and pipe in the marble and ice. That is actually much simpler than I thought it would be. I guess I can do the exact same now for the ender pearl recipe. Perfect. Just like that, the factory was starting to grow. The base really doesn't look like much right now, but you've seen the thumbnail. Beauty is coming soon. The Starlight Infuser. I'll explain more about this in just a moment. First, I have added even more basic resources to the automation list. Sand and sooty marble. The sand is just simply crushed marble, and the sooty marble is marble crafted with charcoal that I make in a furnace. I also crafted up a bunch of speed upgrades for the machines, though they do consume quite a bit of GP to use. so their use is only temporary now while I try to just build up a stockpile. Redstone though is still lagging behind, which brings me nicely onto this starlight infuser. If I infuse myself an aquamarine, it'll infuse into a resonating gem. It also has a chance to consume a full bucket of starlight, but I have a fixed plan for that one too, so that's coming soon. Aha, you're missing the bucket of starlight. I need those gems to make a colored lens named Spectral. I didn't know that they had different flavors of lenses, but now I do. I'll craft it with some sooty marble and ender pills to make the ender porcupine. This thing is gonna revolutionize some of my slowest automations. It works with the mechanical users, miners, and scanners. I think I can more awesomely automate these resonant clusters. I'll place 8 of them down, and 2 blocks above I'll place the porcupine. I'll then face the miner into this block, and now the magic happens. First I lower its Y level by 1, and then I expand the X and Z coordinates by +1 and -1 to create a box below the porcupine. Now every time the miner activates, any selected block in my new box will be mined. Right now it uses a max of 3 GP to work, but the bigger the area I choose, the more it's gonna cost. I'm probably gonna go for like a 4x4 or 5x5. I mean, 5x5 would give me 25 clusters per minute, which does seem pretty good. Into a drawer, and eventually an ender chest so I can access these anywhere. Speaking of ender chests, I think I'll make a start on that now. I am going to need a lot of these. For them, I'm going to need some kind of dye. I'm a little bit short on flowers, so I'm going to bathe some glowstone in water to wash away the magic, leaving me with yellow dye. Here's the plan. For every automated resource, I will have an ender chest of its own color combination. Like this one will be yellow, white, white. Then wherever I need that resource to be, I will put in that same combination and have instant access to it. So what I need to do now is come up with a unique color combination for every single resource here. I can wash redstone for red dye, so that's definitely gonna help. I think, my friends, it is time I made a spreadsheet. Well, first I've gone ahead and swapped the sand creation here over to glass. That's because there is a much more efficient way to make sand using lava and starlight. In the time it took me to color code everything, I'm finally doing pretty good on redstone. That's because I am using the crystals from the ender chest, and I kinda went a little bit overboard with it. I have got 3 separate systems gathering the crystals, because I think soon I'm gonna need these for even more difficult crafts. I didn't want one system slowing down the rest. It is good to plan ahead. Speaking of planning ahead, over here I have a puddle of liquid starlight. If I throw in a rock crystal and a stardust, when they despawn, they should create a tier 0 celestial crystal cluster. Then over time, it'll grow to a level 4, and that is the point that I can then harvest them to get myself a celestial crystal. I'll need that because I now wish to upgrade to the final tier of astral crafting, the iridescent altar. I just need a few more resonant gems, and my friends, I know I keep harking on about it, but honestly, I am in love with how pretty this mod is. Look at this particle display. It's gorgeous. One iridescent altar. I just need to hold it for the quest, but you know what a new altar means. One more multi-block. I have a new crystal, so I think it is safe to assume that I have assembled it correctly. Yay! According to the book, I am going to need some spectral relays, 5 of which I will place around the new altar ready to receive items upon request. I am working towards the containment chalice, so it's aquamarine is going to ask for. Unfortunately, I do not have enough starlight in my sky to do the craft though. That is where this small multi-block comes in. It's going to amplify my starlight and send it back to the altar for a boost. 1 spectral relay and 1 glass lens. With 2 relays, I now have enough star power to craft up the containment chalice. 1 aquamarine, 2, 3, 4, 5. Absolutely beautiful. Yay, that worked exactly as intended. I'm so happy. This chalice is going to be my way of not worrying about consuming starlight at the infusing station. The idea being that if I provide it with some light wells, it'll take that starlight and send it straight to the infusing altar. I will need to use the porcupines and a mechanical user to place in the aquamarine, but that should just be a copy of the mining setup, nice and easy. Yes, it is working. So cool. I think next I want to work towards making my first Nether Star. But quickly, I did go ahead and add dirt and paper to the automation line. Dirt because soon I would really like to start building, by the way, which is made from just crafting sand with ice, nice and easy. Paper is just crushed logs, nicer and easier. And one thing that has been driving me crazy is storage. So I did invest in some diamond iron chests. I don't know if I should be happy or sad that everything I own fits into just one of them. I just wish there was a mod that allowed me to sort the inventories. That would be so nice. Oh, and finally I automated cobble smelting because sometimes it is needed. Looking at the Nether Star, it really doesn't seem too difficult on the surface. The shape radiant quartz doesn't seem too terrible, and I could go and automate this now if needed, because the raw quartz is automated. It's just 2 lots of 9 times compression, so like 80 raw quartz per block is shaped. Doable. You know what, let's automate it. Output draw here to match the other automation, crafter, crusher, crafter, and an ender chest for the raw radiant quartz. Red, yellow, white. The first crafter in line will turn them into a block. The block gets crushed into radiant quartz. The second crafter then crafts them into the block. Automation complete. For now I'm going to add in a storage downgrade to store only 64 of them, but in the long run I've realized it's kind of pointless because the ender chests have got 9 slots to fill. So that is 25% of Nether Stars fully automated. Glowstone blocks is literally just 4 glowstones, super easy. 50% fully automated. Vibrant infused wood. Well, to get normal infused wood, I have to drop logs into starlight, which I have set up countless times for other items already. And then over at the starlight altar, I have been practicing some automation. I have got one mechanical user that places the item onto the altar, and I have a second user continually using the redstone wand on the altar to activate it. Since the completed item is dropped as an item in world, it's easy enough to pick it up with an item collector. Throw in the infused wood to simulate an ender chest, bringing it over. It gets infused. That is vibrant infused wood. Yay! I am curious though if 6 light wells is going to be enough to keep up with it. I might need a few more, but it is confirmed working, it just needs the logistics. That's awesome. I'm actually going to watch this for a moment just to see if the starlight keeps up with demand. I'll be back in just a second. Yeah, confirmed, I don't think 6 is enough. I'm probably going to need like 10 or 12 of them to be able to craft full time, so I'm just going to set that up later. I might even add in a buffer tank and pipe it to the chalice, that way I can use the starlight for other things if I need to. In the break, I did quickly automate sandstone, which is just 4 sands crafted together. This needs to be placed down into a beam of starlight, and then 45 seconds later it becomes endstone. I can then add all 4 blocks to the astral altar and my friends, my very first Nether Star. Incredible. Not exactly sure what I want to use it for, so I think I'll just use it to complete 1 out of 9 challenges. Why not? I mean, at this point I could easily just handcraft a stack of Nether Stars, but that is not what I'm about. Automation is king. So, how am I going to tell a miner that the sandstone has converted to an endstone so it can be mined? Because normally a miner just breaks whatever is in front of it. That is where this scanner should come into play. I'm hoping it's like a kind of smart observer. I'm just gonna need some monitoring crystals, and that is a few scanners. I think over in this corner I'm gonna set up my new conversion spot. I'll have a scanner looking at the sandstone, and I'll set up a new starlight beam to that new spot. Once it is endstone, I will tell the scanner to remember that block. That emits a redstone signal when it sees it, which I will connect into a mechanical miner and swap over to redstone mode. Okay, so corner redstone doesn't work, it does need to be flat. That is endstone automated. All that is missing is the ender chest. Awesome. Something like this will work for making the infused wood, just dropping logs into starlight. Yeah, that absolutely does work. I just need to expand the starlight creation, and I think I will use these ender tanks to transport it, since that opens up doors if later I need more starlight anywhere else. That is the plan. Set up the ender chest and expand starlight. I'll see you shortly. Oh my friends, that's pretty much every aspect of automating Nether Stars complete, except for one teeny tiny little step. There is gonna be no way to automate this iridescent altar. It is a glorified crafting table, and I just don't have that type of auto crafting. That means I need to work out a way to automate the creation of celestial crystals. These things from earlier, with the liquid starlight, stardust, and rock crystals. Once grown, I get celestial crystals and stardust, which of course can then be recycled for the next craft. A few teeny tiny issues with automating this. First and foremost, how on earth can I place down a liquid starlight? I could put a bucket in a dispenser, but I don't think I've got a way to fill that bucket. I mean, I did expand starlight production a lot, but there is no create mod here. Fortunately, when you search for tanks, this radiant storage tank also shows up. It says that it works with a radiant amphora to transfer fluids. I'm hoping that this thing can somehow act as a bucket linked to a radiant tank. I'll start by crafting up a scintillating inlay, which I'll use to craft a containment field. That'll let me craft some radiant tanks, but for the amphora I am missing a little bit of clay. Thankfully, it is as easy as putting sand into the starlight infuser. That's the radiant amphora. Now, how do I want to set this up? I guess I can just use the liquid translocators to just pull it from the ender tank, since I doubt I'm going to be using a crazy amount. Then I can link the amphora to the tank, and then if I left click, it does indeed change the item to bucket mode. Incredible! I totally worked that out instantly. That was a lie. Scanner, miner, user, and I guess dropper number 1. Then the final dropper can be above. Can the user place starlight? It can! Oh, it doesn't stop. Redstone mode it is then. So first I need to make a level 0 crystal cluster. And while I wait, I can tell the miner to send the stardust back to the dropper with a filter. Easy enough. In the scanner, I can set the detection to the newly formed cluster and tell it that I only care about the level 4 version. And now, redstone. Well, I don't love it, but it should in theory activate everything once the scanner sends the signal out. And now, I wait. I'm not sure if time in a bottle works, but I do have some time to spare. Well, it's level 4, but I am a fool and I forgot to pull the signal from the scanner. My bad. Well, it broke and dropped, but the starlight didn't dispense. I guess I need to work out which setting works best. Setting it to use item does seem to work. It's excruciatingly slow though, so I'm not going to stare at it again to see if it works. I'm just going to assume it does and move on. All that's left is to auto-craft rock crystals from ice and glass. Though in order to give it any stats, I then need to craft that crystal with itself to make one that'll work for this. It does seem easy enough, but there has got to be a way to speed this up. 20 to 40 minutes each is wrong on so many levels. I guess I better check up on the internet because this book is kind of hard to work out. I guess I'll see you in just a short moment, and I may even double up on these makers in the meantime so I can at least move on a little bit further. So I figured I'd plug in the crafter for the Nether Stars to make a start on it, but I have hit a bit of a wall. I don't think I own an auto crafter that can do the craft. Let me explain. Everyone and their nan knows that the celestial crystals are gonna be the bottleneck. The crystals are not stackable. This we know for certain. That means I cannot use sticky mode. That means that this slot will be empty and filled by another one of these blocks. Like, if I enable this one, it fills up the slot I need reserved for the crystal. Not good. So I then saw that I could limit what side each slot has access to. I set the middle block to east only, the crystals, but as you saw, that doesn't work either. But then I remembered the mechanical crafter exists, but this has exactly the same flaw. This can fill up completely with one item, leaving no room for the crystal to go in. So I am a little bit stuck right now. So I'm going to come back to this later and instead, I'm going to work on boosting celestial crystal creation. If I shine starlight at the crystal, it grows faster, and I can make my very own collection crystal. I'll need an attuned rock crystal, which calls for a brand new massive multi-block. 19 by 6 by 19 is big. That's the plan. Ignore the other problem until a later date and instead jump into a time lapse. Just a quick one this time. Whoa, wait 1 second, I worked it out. Well, I watched a video on it, but mechanical crafters have a hidden secret feature that I had no idea about. If you put inventories against the side of the machine, providing it's enough for the whole craft, it'll use those instead of the internal buffer. Amazing. Okay, a tuning altar. Let's do this. Good morning. Don't worry about the jumping around in the time lapse. I definitely didn't miscount blocks. As you saw at the end, it did work. And that floating around that I did was me attuning myself. But there's one thing to note, in that the constellation you pick, it does need to be in the night sky at the time of activation. I myself am now attuned to the Prettiest constellation, though it really doesn't have much of an effect in this mod pack. I just saw that it might affect crops and plants, which I think I'm going to have lots of later. One tip I can give you though is to put the constellation paper into your offhand, that way you can see where you need to place the relays. I have augmented the rock crystal automation to siphon off some of the crystals without stats into this chest right here. First, I'm going to empty my hotbar and my inventory. Then, I'm going to hold on to a whole bunch of these blank rock crystals, which in turn will give them all some stats. I am looking for crystals with the highest purity as I can. The closer to 100, the better. The top row? Junk. 96, that's pretty good. I think I'll put that in slot 1 so I don't lose it. 95, yeah, I'll take you as well. And the rest of them can go into the trash. And now I rinse and repeat a few times to see how close to 100 I can get. That's because it'll make life easier the closer it is. Oh my goodness, that is a god tier pull. Size 107, purity 100, cutting 9. Before I dive in though, I am going to practice on a worse gem, since I've never needed to do this bit before. I need to max out the other 2 stats. Currently the size is 209, submerging this in liquid starlight will slowly absorb into the crystal and boost its size a little bit. I can then grind the size down, but at the same time that will raise the cutting percentage. 19340. After cutting and growing, I now have a max size and cutting, but purity is bad. That is my practice done. I can increase the purity by letting it consume even more starlight and it will split. But I don't need to do that because of course I've got a 100% purity crystal. So I'm going to do the cutting and growing for that god crystal and I will be right back. This right here is what it was all for. I did manage to split it to make a second one, but you then have to cut and grow it again. Worth it, as I am going to need quite a few of these. I can take the maxed out crystal over to the attunement altar and throw it on, thus eventually attuning it to the Prettiest constellation. Ding ding, that should be success. I love it. By the way, I would feel silly for not mentioning it, but once you attune yourself you get access to a skill tree. Really doesn't seem useful, but Prettiest did give me 2 extra hearts. Again, I only wanted to see what it would do to plants. Using the crystal I just attuned, I can activate the altar. Perfect! My very own collection crystal that I can place anywhere 16 blocks away from a different one. Like perhaps next to my celestial crystal setup, where it can now be linked to the clusters to help them grow quicker. Oh yeah, and I want to quickly mention this formation wand. It's a building wand. It is very handy and is going to be invaluable later for building a pretty world. But this celestial setup is totally bugged. I guess I need to just keep tweaking the settings and the timings. At least in theory that when it does work, it will be a little bit quicker now. I am going to try linking the amphoras to different tanks, just in case only one could be linked at a time. I'll let you know if I do come up with a solution. That does seem to have fixed the problem, but I'm still going to have to keep an eye on it. I am up to 174 Nether Stars, but that's because I crafted up a bunch of them without the celestial crystals. 1 star every 20 to 40 minutes is kind of unscalable automation. It's a bit silly, so I did just help it along a little bit. You know, it's probably why that recipe even exists, because the developers knew that it was a horrible task to do with only automation. Moving on, I have been looking through the quests and I noticed one here for an angel ring, creative flight, and it is totally makeable now. All I'm missing is some ectoplasm and the GP to fly. I am using 41 out of 85 and I need 32 spare at all times. While technically it's enough, it is a very thin margin. That is where this dragon egg mill will save me. Easy craft. However, I also need a dragon egg. Less easy, but still doable, like obsidian. So far, I have not come across a way to make obsidian this entire playthrough. That was until I learned about the method using containment chalices. It forced me to automate the creation of netherrack and subsequently lava, but if I put water in one and lava in another, the particles will then randomly crash together to make stone or obsidian. It does consume the liquids, but it's not very quick. 2 obsidian, already halfway there. Yay, that's the dragon mill, and now I guess I need to start with the elytra. I'll need to crush charcoal into dust, which gets dunked in water to make black dye. I can transmute blocks of charcoal into coal, which then go into the starlight altar to make nocturnal powder. I can craft some of that with clay to make some string. Crushing resonant gems gives me ectoplasm. Crafted with string and a diamond gives me a spectral string. And then crafted with lapis and gold blocks gives me spectral ingots. Then I can infuse a paper with starlight to get the feathers. That is finally everything for the elytra. I'm getting there. I can now craft clay and nocturnal powder into bones, which I can then infuse into 4 bone meal each. Oh, and do you want to see something amazing? I have added one simple mod to this mod pack. Are you ready? Auto-sorted inventories. I have been missing this for so long. Anyways, that bone meal is used to make magenta dye, which then combines with a water bottle to make dragon's breath. Makes sense. Well, that is everything for the angel ring, and that clears up a bit of inventory space. And all I am missing for the dragon egg is one item. Beans. Oh, and also a drop of evil, which I get from dropping nocturnal powder into starlight. So, bean. It all starts with infusing ladders with starlight to make vines, transmuting wood into oak saplings, crushing the saplings into seeds, then into the starlight altar to make a bean, which I will then grow more of so I don't need to do that crafting chain ever again. I can then craft up some parchment, which I will craft with a bean to make an egg. My friends, that's a dragon egg, and that is a bonus 500 grid power generation. Nicely done. Infinite creative flight with no worries of crashing out, well, other than seeing the base look kind of awful. Now I can fly. I think I am finally going to start building the brand new area, and for the first time in history, you will be able to watch how I Hobble turn nothing into something. Very exciting. So why don't I go and see now what I can truly hobble together. here's what I hobbled together. I somehow managed to lose a clip of me planting the trees and building the buildings, but overall shape of the island was captured, so that's something. In the center, I have got the iridescent altar looking all pretty. Over here I have the attunement altar, however this one is set to a different constellation, Mineralis, for a very important reason. Over here is a new installation, and that reason I needed Mineralis, a ritual altar. If I place down some stone, as long as Mineralis is in the sky that night, it has a chance to convert over to an ore. Think about the Britannia orchid, but worse, coal. That took a while. I can mine it to get a piece of coal, but that's not exactly what I want. I need a block of emerald. Well, many of them, but at least one for this challenge. I can get emerald ore from transmuting diamond ore. As far as I'm aware, this is the only way of me getting diamond ore. There is a tiny little problem though. As you saw with the coal, I didn't pick up the coal ore, and that is no good when I need that diamond block to make emeralds. And I'm probably gonna need thousands of emeralds. You see, I have been keeping a secret from you. A secret ending. To make this Kikoku from One Piece, I am going to need 2 perfected opinion cores, and each core needs 2 of the previous tier cores. Think Project E Klein Stars, but worse. There are 10 levels of cores to deal with, and some of the requirements are honestly a little bit bizarre. In total, I think I need around 300 emerald blocks, so that should be fun. But back to the problem at hand, I am going to need a Silk Touch tool. It's an uncraftable book, villagers are non-existent, how shall I proceed? With this stellar refraction table of course. If I pop in some parchment and some infused glass, and fast forward the night until the correct constellation appears, I can then try and apply 3 boots inscriptions into the parchment. 3 attempts later and the inscription is successful and it etches my glass with boots. Now if I put an astral pickaxe into the table, it'll be activated with starlight and etch boots into the pickaxe. Wow, so pretty. When translated to human dialect, it gives me Silk Touch. Nice. So I'll have a user place down some stone blocks, and since I want to use the pickaxe, I'll have another user left click the not stone block to break it. Since the ore is a variety though, I have got the scanner looking for stone blocks, and then it turns off the signal when it doesn't see it. All that's left to do is get an item collector to pick up the broken ores. But I have a confession. You see the area that I'm standing in right now? This took me 2 days to build, and another day of making saplings and bone meal for the grass. My creativity is now low battery. So instead of building a big factory up here and rebuilding all of my automation again, I think I'm kind of just going to leave it where it is through this tunnel. It's all working via ender chest, so it's not really that big of a deal I think. And there is no way to improve this with newer tech, so it is just kind of going to live here in exile. Item collector on, and now I wait. So now I just want to wait and test to see how many diamond ore I get in just a little bit of AFK. I'll see you once I have concluded my test. Yeah, this ain't it, Chief. This is not the answer. 1. It keeps breaking for no reason at all, just redstone glitches with the scanner. 2. I AFK'd for a while, and I didn't get a single diamond ore. Plenty of coal, no diamond. I get more ores than this just digging out a mob farm in normal Minecraft. There has to be a better way. Thanks to a good shout from the Discord, someone asked, oh, well, how about using the Quarry? This quantum quarry right here. Mines blocks from a hypothetical dimension, requires actuators on each side. The Quarry is nice and cheap. For the actuators, I first need to craft up some stone sticks, and then infuse them with starlight into blaze rods. Then I need to smelt clay blocks into terracotta and dye them purple, which gets smelted into purple glazed terracotta. That can then be infused with starlight into chorus flowers. Almost there. Planting one on endstone and waiting patiently, it'll grow into a weird end tree, granting chorus fruit. I can pop it in a furnace, and then finally, crafting it with the blaze rods gets me the end rods I so deeply desire. That is everything for 6 actuators. I guess all I need to do now is find some kind of power supply. A single furnace generator. Yeah, that's not gonna cut it. I need 20,000 RF per block mined. Yikes. First, I'll set up a filter to say void anything that isn't diamond ore. Then I'll add 9 overclock generators to power it. I found diamonds, but again I have the same problem. I need ores, not diamonds. I need a silk touch book this time. To make a book, I'll first have to craft up some rotten flesh and infuse that into leather. Books are achieved, but how do I silk touch it? The enchanter from Extra Utilities 2 needs a ton of bookcases surrounding it, and I seem to have no way to generate levels anyway. Of course! I can put the book into the refraction table and enchant it in the exact same way as the pickaxe. Silly me. Problem solved once again. Now, I wait. I'll use that time to plan out my next moves. It turns out the next move was to add even more overclock generators and double the wood going into them. I also have 4 speed upgrades in all of them. It was a tedious bit to craft, but it is now pretty perfect. Mining at a rate of 10 blocks per second, I am hopeful that this thing will be done by the time that I need the emeralds. Though I'm only at 5 diamond ores right now, all of the fingers are crossed. Now I would like to activate the iridescent altar and in return be provided an indexer. Immediately I'll use it to create the indexer remote. Well, this don't look right. After several minutes of debugging, it is the ender chest that does not display correctly on the relay. Glass lens, ender pouch, glass lens. So pretty. I love it. My friends, that is another quest completed. By the way, I have no idea what this is used for. I will let you know if I work it out. Alright, so this has been running for a good many hours now. Shall we see how it's getting on? 350,000 blocks mined, 114 diamond ore and 6 emerald. Closing in on halfway there, I guess. I did set up a small system auto smelting the iron, so at least I'd have some experience stored in a furnace. But what I didn't realize is that in 1.12, XP doesn't get stored in a furnace, so I got nothing. Big sad times for Hobble and his reliance on new Minecraft features. I have now added 2 more dragon egg mills. Overall, they are less efficient, but overall, they still add a decent chunk to my GP limit. It's going to allow me to speed up machines without worrying. Over here, I have been converting sea lanterns into lapis blocks, ready for the big diamond conversion for the secret ending. I've got a modified system over here taking the charcoal that I made for sooty marble, and it is now getting sent through a resonator to make red coal. I need like 2,000 or 4,000 red coal. I can't really math those, so I will leave it on just in case. I've also got a crafter over here turning iron into iron blocks. I should probably set one up for gold too. One thing I should have done ages ago is craft a Nether Star with a blank barrel upgrade. When crafted with itself, it gives me a ton of creative storage upgrades, meaning I can store infinite numbers of items. So I could leave all of these machines on now if a need arose that somehow I needed like 1,000,000 glowstone, for example. Now, in order to complete this pack to 100%, there is a very weird quest to make one of each piece of the random thing's armor. It's very weird recipes, but I am going to keep these bookmarks so I don't forget to do this quest, as it is quite well disguised. Using side loading for the mechanical craft, I think I'm going to start setting up the crafting chain for the secret ending. Iron blocks and red coal for the pathetic version. They get pulled into a new drawer, ready for the next core. It needs gold blocks, which I did forget to auto craft, so I guess I can just use a compacting drawer to quickly make the blocks. Mediocre, success. Next, it is gold and diamonds. Passable, success. But this is as far as I can go without the emerald blocks. I guess I can still build the automation line out ready, just repeat exactly what I did for the remaining cores while I wait for those emeralds. Let me see what I can do. Nope. Nope. Nope again. Breaking tall grass is the only way I can get a carrot. I guess I'll try again later. In other news, the crafting chain is complete. I ended up with 3 perfected opinion cores. Hey look, I told you I cannot math. Crafted with a stick, that is the secret ending fully completed. Fantastic, thank you very much. Now things are about to get a little bit crazy. In the break, I went and crafted up 2 of every single generator. Why, you might ask? Well, it is about to be rainbow time. The Nether Star generator was probably the weirdest one to make, needing wither skulls. Not to panic though, They are craftable with drops of evil. Step 1. Craft the bottom half. Step 2. Craft the top half. Step 3. Craft them together to make a rainbow generator. Boom. Step 4. Place down all 16 generators. Step 5. Cry. These all need to be powered at the same time for the rainbow generator to work. The plan is simple. Set them all to only work when powered by redstone, so I can fill them up without wasting materials. As for the power they generate, I'm just going to use an energy trash can to get rid of it, since I don't exactly need any more power. Pink generator uses dirt, Nether Star is Nether Star, Halitosis is Dragon's Breath, Frosty is Ice, Death is Rotten Flesh, Disenchantment is Random Enchanted Books, Survival is Logs, Overclocked is Logs, Explosive is TNT, Furnace is Logs, Culinary is Golden Apples, Ender is Ender Pearls. Now if I craft bone meal and starlight together, I can make milk. That plus slime is the slime generator. Potion is water bottles. Magmatic is lava. Heated redstone is lava and redstone dust. And after putting some redstone on the top, I kinda ran out of sides. I guess I'll just hide the trash cans on the bottom instead. I'm sure it'll be fine. I've got stone burnt in the resonator ready, and I think it is time to test it out. Ow! Ow! No, help! Oh, I forgot it did this. It didn't work because of the empty buckets and the bottles. Let me just extract them real quick and I'll try again. This time, I hide. Be faster, please. Yes, it's done! Off, please. Thank you. This generator system is a little bit chaotic. Evil iron was made in an enchanter with iron and nether stars, and when crafted into blocks, that is chapter complete. Yay! That means there is just one single quest remaining, the weird one. I can activate the altar where if I have enough starlight left, I can craft the water walking boots. Activate, that's the summoning pendulum. Activate. Oh my, that is huge! That's like one of those butt cushions you're supposed to sit on. That is the miner's ring, if you say so, game. For the magic hood, I am going to need that carrot. And for the lava charm, I need to look up how to make demon ingots. So I guess I need to break some more tall grass. I'll see you soon, I hope. It lied. It doesn't need to be tall grass at all. It just needs to be regular sized grass. Silly game. That's the golden carrot and that is the magic hood. Yay! For the demon ingots, I take 4 gold ingots and drop them into lava that has been surrounded by nether bricks. The weirdest multi-block I think I have ever seen in my entire career. My friends, my buddies, my pals. Star Factory is, for all intents and purposes, 100% complete. The quest book is full. The gods who hired me have their factory. It's funny, really. I spent all this time rushing to automate the stars, trying to fill the void with machines and noise. But now the icons are all checked off and the rewards are claimed. The silence is back. Only this time, it feels a bit more earned. It was a strange journey. Between the celestial crystals that refused to behave and the quantum quarry coming in clutch, I have grown quite fond of this empty space. Astral Sorcery has a way of making you look up, which is something I think that we forget to do far too often. I'll probably leave the machines running for a while, the iron will keep crushing, and the starlight will keep pooling in the wells, even if there is no one left to use it. It's a nice thought that somewhere out here in the nothingness, there is a little island that is still glowing. So if you enjoyed this quiet trip through the constellations, consider subscribing. It helps me out more than you know. So why don't you now go back and check out where this all started? Or perhaps you can go and check out the Hightail adventure if you're looking for something a little more grounded. But as for me, I think I am going to sit here for a moment and just watch the sky. It's a beautiful view when you're not trying to farm it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.